people a lot to be mad about, rightfully so, but not a lot to debate. There's not a debate about whether or not the 49ers special teams is good enough. There's not a debate about whether or not their defense is good enough. Right now, it's not. There's not a debate about whether or not Jacob Cowing should be playing over Ronnie Bell. There is. And there's not a debate about whether or not Brock Purdy was good enough. Brock Purdy was more than good enough to play that game without McCaffrey, without Debo, without Kittle, and for the Niners not to miss him at all. I mean, you miss those guys to a degree, but if you told me Debo is playing, would he have had 11 for 175 and 3 touchdowns? You think Juwan Jennings thinks Brock Purdy was good enough in this game? Brock Purdy was good enough. He was not the reason the 49ers lost. Now, that is not a glass half full game. That's a game, even if they'd won, there'd been a lot that I think you could rightfully complain is not even the word, just point out was bad. But win or lose, Brock Purdy was really good. And if he'd won, I think the story of that game would have been Jennings saved the 49ers and Brock delivered a win with not a lot around him. You know, in the big picture debate about how good Purdy is he going to be worth $60 million a year? Whatever, all that stuff, right? That big picture stuff. Can you win with him when your roster gets more expensive, when he gets more expensive, and so your roster can't be as expensive? You know, in that discussion, because as I've said, the person he has to prove that to is not you or me. It's Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and Jed York, right? The guys that'll cut those checks. This was a step in proving that. Because, you know, if you had told me before the game he's going to be 22 of 30, 292, 3 touchdowns, I'd go, yeah, the Niners win that game by 2 scores easily. The only thing that would alarm me a little is the 30 attempts, because the Niners love winning by 2 scores and quarterback throws 21 times. But he was really good with his legs. He was really good with his decision-making. He was really accurate. He was gutsy. He's always gutsy with the throws he makes. He was a playmaker on Sunday against the Rams. Now, I know people are going to point to a couple of things. They're going to point to his fumble. My reaction to that is, yeah, bad things happen sometimes. It's quarterback position's hard. You're not going to play a perfect game. And you're going to point to the throw that he didn't make when he had 10 seconds to run around back there in the pocket. Didn't throw it to Ayuk. Mark Sanchez did a great job of pulling it up the rear view and showing Ayuk open, and that obviously Purdy didn't see him. And that, you know, might have been a game ender, but he scrambled. He scrambled a couple plays later actually hit Jennings for a nice gain. Then he scrambled on a crazy play, could have been sacked on, and puts the Niners in, you know, stretch field goal range, 55 yards. Moody misses it. So did he not see the throw to Ayuk? Yeah. Did he hit Ayuk in the hands 2 other times and he dropped it? Yeah. Did he hit Ronnie Bell in the hands 3 times? That was 2 drives later, or 1 drive later, he hits Ronnie Bell square in the hands for a throw that probably ends the game if he catches that in the Niners' favor. It sets up a much better attempt at a field goal for Jake Moody. Now, maybe the Rams come down, score a touchdown, whatever, but they didn't. They came down and kicked a field goal. So I thought he was really good. Imperfect, sure. But, I mean, at the end of the day, 22 of 30 probably should have been like 27 of 30. So you're not going to hit every throw. You're not going to make every throw. But what didn't he do? He didn't throw any picks. Did he not throw that ball to Ayuk? Sure. He also didn't force a ball into traffic in that spot. That would have been an open throw. It's fine. That's legitimate. But he hit Ronnie Bell in the hands a possession later. He hit a lot of guys in the hands. He saw Juwan Jennings was balling. He fed Juwan Jennings. He trusted Juwan Jennings. He threw the ball down the field more than normal. By the way, Monday Night Football coming up. I like to play at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks app with the code GUY. Play a $5 lineup. You'll get $50 instantly just for playing. I'm playing a ton of Prize Picks. I got a Brock Purdy more Prize Picks season-long yardage lineup I got. But anyway, lineups are quick and easy to make. I've got a few for Monday night. I got Keon Coleman, more than 35.5 receiving yards. James Cook, more than 63.5 rushing yards. And Brian Thomas, more than 42.5 receiving yards. That's $20 to win 100. Then I also have Jaden Daniels, not the Kansas quarterback, the Washington quarterback, more than 195.5 passing yards. Joe Burrow, less than 34.5 passing attempts. And Brian Robinson Jr., more than 13.5 rush attempts. They got some other great things you can put in lineups. You can combine kickers. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. So just go check it out. Prize Picks. The link is in the description. Click that link. Use the code GUY. Put $5 in. That's it. Make a lineup. You'll immediately get $50 into your account. Appreciate it. The other thing that was impressive about Brock was it was coming off the Minnesota game that he wasn't great. And I told you, I felt really good about him coming out of that Minnesota game because I didn't think he was rattled. They confused him sometimes. They made life difficult for him. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. But the fact that Brock was so kind of matter of fact after the game when he went up to Brian Flores on the field was like, hey, man, you guys did some crazy stuff. That he felt good enough about that he'd be able to get back to the film room, figure it out, be better next time, gave me a lot of confidence that he was going to show up in this Rams game ready to roll. And he was ready for the moment. Juwan Jennings was ready for the moment. Can't say everybody else was ready for the Niners secondary was not ready for the moment. Fast receivers and quarterbacks with big arms are like their kryptonite. But, I think when you look at Brock, he pushed the ball down the field in a game where he had to take some chances. And in a game that had some really big possessions, he made plays with his legs when there's nothing else there. And I really showed athleticism, showed playmaking, showed discipline. The number one thing you want out of a quarterback is playmaking with discipline. Sometimes you get playmaking without discipline. Sometimes you get discipline without playmaking. The guys that you're going to pay $60 million to, I think the biggest thing you want is playmaking with discipline. They don't turn it over. They don't give back. Oh, yeah, he ran around. He made some sweet throws, but he's going to give it back twice a game because he's going to throw 2 picks doing that crazy stuff. And Purdy really picked his spots. He was really in control. Was successful on the sneaks. Thank goodness his knee was down on the fumble because it wasn't a fumble, but was successful on the sneaks. I don't even know if they showed Jimmy Garoppolo once during that. I must have missed it. Of course they would have showed Jimmy Garoppolo during that broadcast, right? But just like, even when you go back, one thing you see with Purdy a lot, even when you go back to the awful, awful Ravens game last year, as bad as he was that day, even after his mistakes, he kept coming back. As my buddy Yogi Roth, who I call games with on the Big Ten Network, likes to say, PACE, P-A-C-E, plays after critical errors. You'd prefer to never make critical errors, but that's impossible. That's life. And Brock, he does not get daunted. He is undaunted when he makes a mistake or when there's a pick or there's a fumble. Somebody got their fingertips on a ball and you're like, oh God, I don't know, Brock. I think they're kind of seeing you or they know what you're trying to do. They're jumping lanes. He steps up and just 3 dudes over the middle. Fine. Here, Juwan Jennings, go catch this. So he brought it. And was it a prove it game for him? Yes, it was. Did he prove something? Yes, he did. Is that the final answer on Brock Purdy? Of course not. Plenty more to prove. You got to keep going. You got to keep doing it. And you hope he doesn't have to do it much longer with Debo. I don't think he will. McCaffrey, I'm not so sure. But and I'd love to see Jacob Cowan get in the mix. But, yeah, he proved something. They lost. It wasn't good enough today. But he played winning football. And that's, I said this on the podcast, on the video. It's not a glass half full kind of day. In fact, as they were winning that game, I was getting frustrated because I was thinking, there's so much going wrong. I'm going to have a hard time just like giving them their props for this one. They lost, which was kind of what ultimately they earned. They earned that loss. So it's not a glass half full day, but that doesn't change the fact that he was good. He was good. He was really good, I thought. So anyway, like that button, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Later.